We are on page Chav Zayin Amud Bet. It's a brand new Mishnah, maybe a brand old Mishnah. Chav Zayin Amud Bet, about 12 lines or 10 lines in the bottom. Okay? Chav Zayin Amud Bet, 27B at the bottom, Archie. The very bottom of your thing. Here we go. Okay.
Sorry.
So this is dealing specifically with wicks, okay? And Rashi, well, let's read the Mishnah first, and then I've got a handout for you once we get into the Gemara. Mishnah looks to be very straightforward. Remember the basic, this is Bameh Madlikin, so we're talking about wicks and oils and fuels. We had an excursus that dealt with Hanukkah. We had an excursus in the last week that dealt with Tumen Tara. We're actually going to talk a little bit about Tumen Tara, a lot about Tumen Tara in the Gemara itself. Not as hard as the piece we left behind, don't worry.
I'm trying to remember why it came up. It doesn't matter.
It's not important, but you'll get another dose of this. But you see, the Mishnah actually talks about Tumen Tahara. So Pishtan is of course a plant. Plant is a flax. The flax is processed that you kind of soak it until it rots out, and then you're left with these long strands, and the strands then can be processed as fibers. And they tie them, they twist them together, so you get a 6 twisted fiber. Sheish mashzar was as the Torah talks about. Pishtan being sheish mashzar, it's a sextuplet fiber that's woven together with 6 strands. Or it can be used, in this case we wanted to talk about using it for a wick. Can you use it for a wick? Okay, for Shabbat. Okay, why not? You can use a lot of things for wicks, so we'll see in a moment. So kol yotze min ha'etz ein madlikin bo ela pishtan. So the Mishnah says very clearly, anything that comes from a tree can't be used, you can't use as a wick except pishtan. Now, what are we talking about? Is pishtan a tree?
Didn't we say last week?
No,
it doesn't mean tree. It means anything from the stalk.
Because right.
Fruit comes from the tree or whatever. Cotton comes from the tree.
So Rashi says, if you look in Rashi on the first Rashi in the Mishnah, Emad Likimbo lasot psila, to make a wick, says you can't make therefore a wick from canvas. Ubeget canvas mitzemer geffen, and you can't make from canvas, and you can't make from semer geffen from cotton either. So Rashi seems to say that this refers to all organic materials. Tosfos and a lot of other Rishonim have difficulty with this Rashi because why can't you use other kind of organic materials? I mean, what's wrong? What would be wrong with having a cotton wick? In fact, we use cotton wicks. If this semer geffen really means cotton or any other type of fiber, why couldn't you use it if it really works? And what would be wrong with using a canvas wick? So they actually say that what the Gemara is really talking about is really wood, to use like a wood chip. You couldn't use a wood chip to be a wick. Now, why is Pishtan included in this? We'll see in a moment in the first piece of the Gemara. It's a very simple piece of the Gemara, that Pishtan is identified as a tree in at least one place. Maybe it was very tall. Maybe it was seen to be a high, tall, standing stalks. Some of you may know the Medrash that talks about the Eitz Hadat with Adam and Chava. What was the Eitz Hadat, the tree of knowledge that they shouldn't eat from, that they did eat from? What was?
For 3 things: grapes, wheat.
Fig.
Right.
Grapes, wheat, figs.
Figs, correct. Well, figs was because that's what they dressed with. Wheat because the Gemara says a child doesn't have intelligence until they are able till you give them solid cereal foods. So you see that wheat makes you smart, and then a couple of the other items that are there. There was the Eitz Hadat. There was the citron, the etrog, because it was nechmad lamara. It was a beautiful type of tree. So you see, by the way, from this medrash that wheat was considered a tree as well. Right? This was the Eitz Hadat. So, at any rate, if you accept the interpretation of the other Rishonim, then we're really excluding all kinds of actually wood chips that you could process, except for Pishtan, which somehow got mixed together with all the others. If you go with the opinion of Rashi, it's more logical to assume why Pishtan is mentioned here as an example, because Pishtan is not a tree. So tree, this kind of object versus other kinds of organic gross materials, not necessarily eitz itself. Eitz refers to anything that's growing, plant kingdom, right? So that's a basic machloket. So first of all, anything that grows therefore from a tree, you cannot use for a wick except pishtan. And anything that grows from a tree can become tumas ohel. Let me explain that in a moment. Except pishtan, there are different types of tuma. There's tuma maga. When you touch an object that's tummy, you become tummy. There are different levels, which we're not going to go into. Then there's tumas ohel, which means that if you are under a roof together with a mace, right, you will become tummy. or for that matter, if you had utensils that were there together with the mace, they would become tamei. So when it comes to the idea of tumas ohel, so you cannot use objects of wood except pishtan to make the house become tamei. It can't be metame. It's not metame tumas ohelim el pishtan. It's not the metame agent. In other words, if I built a house out of wood, then the objects inside can become tamei. Let's see if I get that correct. The objects inside could become tamei, but the wood itself could not become tamei. Okay? If I had, on the other hand, a pishtan, if I had a roof made of pishtan, so then it would be considered that the pishtan would become tamei. It's the only exception to the rule of organic objects, of plant objects, that would become tamei if I were to use it as the roof material itself. That's how Rashi seems to interpret what this is. So, and the ohel becomes tamei and so forth. This is the tumas olim that we're talking about. So pishtan is going to have the tuma of olim, whereas other objects that are not formed, let's say like this, if I had a block of wood, the block of wood that was not formed into an object would not become tamei either if it were in the house. So in other words, the only object that can become tamei that's not formed into utensil would be pishtan for some reason. And we're going to have a whole discussion to learn out why that is. Okay, so that's really the introduction to the Mishnah. What's this Mishnah doing here? It's simply one of the number of listing of objects that you can use as a wick or you can use as a wick. So we can be used. So normally objects from a tree you can't. Objects from pishtan, or wicks from pishtan you could. And seeing we mentioned one about pishtan, we mentioned something else, that pishtan is going to be an object that if you made a house out of pishtan, it would make the person underneath to become tamei, and you don't have to, and that would be the law that doesn't apply. Okay, so an ohel that would become tamei if it's made of pishtan. So Gemara says as follows. How do we know this? Minalan the pishtei ikreates. How do you know that pishtan is called a tree? That sounds actually very funny, that pishtan would be called a tree. So Gemara says, well, it's not that funny. It's actually pretty simple to find in the beginning of Sefer Yoshua. Amar Marzutra the Amakra. This is where the spies come in. They're sent by Yoshua. They come out to spy out Yericho. Right, and they go to the house of Rachav the Zona, and she hides them under the pishtan on the roof, and she says, "V'hiela tamagaga." She takes them up to the roof, vatit b'neim b'pishtei ha'etz, and she hides them in the pishtan, the trees of pishtan. So it means it's probably a very thick growth of pishtan that's on the roof, but it's called eitz at any rate. And by the way, it makes sense it would be very thick because when they came to look for them, they didn't find them.
When I learned this with the guy, I learned Partners in Torah.
Yes, you did.
So I looked it up. And I saw a drawing of flax. They put them in bundles. Like the first
thick bundles.
They put them in thick bundles. That's why they call them trees.
Right.
And they put the bundles like this.
So it looked like
to dry out.
To dry out, they put them like this, and they were hid underneath there. So if you look, when I Google drying of pishtan, a picture comes up with these bundles.
Why would they want to dry them? I guess they wanted to transport them before they processed them.
It says they dry. It says they were drying them.
Right, correct. They were drying them.
Yeah. So when I just Googled drying of flax,
that's what came up.
It came up this thing, and it was exactly like it could have been a picture of the. Yeah, so that's when it says trees, it means bunches.
So at any rate, the bottom line is you see that pishtan is called pishtei ha'etz, these large bundles. I guess the other types of growths that they would use would not be considered so large unless you were using bundles of wood, or bundles of some kind of bush or some kind of growth that was. So you see at any rate that pishtan is called pishtei ha'etz, the wood of pishtan, or the pishtan wood, and therefore this is why pishtan is considered combined with other types of eitzim as well. Okay, it's not a biological, it's not a botany kind of lesson. It's really more of a general kind of terminology.
You know, there's a word that's always surprised me in German and Yiddish. Yeah. The word for cotton is Baumwolle.
Baumwolle. That's right.
What
that's
right.
Is it?
Baum is a tree.
Baum is a tree.
Baumwolle.
Wool from a tree.
Okay, wool from a tree.
Baumwolle.
Okay.
Boimwolle. Boimwolle.
I didn't know that.
That's how you say cotton.
I don't know.
That's how you say cotton.
We said cotton.
That's cotton. Baumwolle.
Good.
Is that what he said? I'm going to look at my dictionary.
Well, could be.
See, that's
all
what
right.
I think.
But I mean,
I didn't know.
The Hebrew Semer
Geffen
makes much more sense.
Yes, it
when you
does.
see cotton grow. It much more resembles
Looks like
a vine.
Right.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never.
I don't know.
You drive by and you wonder, I mean, is that cotton growing or is that grapes
Wool.
growing?
Oh, really? Okay. But I guess one is dealing with the plant and one is dealing with the fiber that comes out more. Baum, what's the term?
Baumwolle.
Baumwolle. Excuse me. I don't know. I learned last week that Teitelbaum means palm tree.
You didn't know that before.
I didn't know that till last week. Right? Okay, so I'm learning a little bit every day. Okay, my Yiddish lesson. I guess this is wool that comes off the tree is referring to the fabric, and the idea of tzemer geffen really refers to the plant that produces the fabric. Right? It looks more like on the vine coming out as a growth of grapes. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, at any rate, that's how we know that this is why Pishtan is called eitz, and that's the source that comes from Yeshua Peri Gimel. Thank you, Archie, for actually pointing out to us the reality of how it was. Yeah, okay. So now the Gemara wants to understand this whole thing about Tumas Olim, which is only going to be for Pishtan, as opposed to other types of wood, because other types of wood looks like is not going to become tameh if you were to put it into, if it can't acquire tumah if it's simply a raw piece of wood or something like that. So the Gemara goes on and says, and I actually have two things for you to hand out. Okay, hold on to them. I want to keep the one top for myself. This is one is a bunch of psukim that come from the Oz V'Hadar Shas on the side. I blew them up. I didn't translate them. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's just pass them around. Should be 1, 2, 3. I hope there's enough. 1, 2, 3. There you go. 3 here. There's more here coming. Are we good? How close are we? Are we getting close? We're short. There should be one more here. I ran off 10 copies. If we have 10 people, that means we have a minion. There you go. Okay. No, we don't have a minion. You have one extra. Oh, I got one. No. Yeah, we have a minion. There you go. We have a minion. Great. Okay. Second thing I have is a picture page. Okay. This is actually, and this I'll explain to you before we get into it. The psukim I want you to hold on to for the page itself. Once again, keep them going around because I'm sure there's more than enough this way. Let me wait till everybody to have this so I don't have to explain it once. This actually would do better in color, but I didn't have a color printer at home. So you'll have to deal with black and white. I only tell you the pages you're getting is, I didn't give you the sources because I think they're probably Christian sources. But that's okay. Okay. This is, they're actually better than pictures I found from the Jewish sources. So here, let me explain to you the picture. This is the picture of the Mishkan. We all agree this is a picture of the Mishkan. Nobody would deny that. Not important whether how these things are being put on top of the Mishkan, but here's the bottom line. There are three or four coverings of actually on top of the Mishkan itself. Okay? And if you look at these pictures, there are actually 4. The bottom covering over the Mishkan is made of pishtan. Now you see where we're going with this. It's called fine linen. Yeah. The next one is made of yirios izim. It's made of goat's hair. Yeah, okay. The one on top of that is made of elim, ma'adamim, and the one on top of that is tuchashim, which these guys decided was a badger.
We don't know.
We don't know what it is.
This, the Gemara actually will talk about this was an animal for that time. I'm imagining this must be like a King James translation. I don't know where they got it from. These were 2 different sites, and they both got decided it was going to be badger skins. Okay,
King James, you're probably right.
But whatever it was, but if you just want to put in your mind the fact that the badger skins is going to be the chashim, that's the top level. Now, the only machloket we're going to see in the Gemara is whether the top 2 were actually one skin or whether they were 2 separate skins. And if you look at my heading on top, that's me, that's Yeres, that's not taken from the Christian Bible. Okay, there were 3 or 4 coverings on the Mishkan. I call it tabernacle, so you shouldn't get confused in a moment. And the one on top, the number 1, which is either 1 or 2 coverings, were either elim yadamim, these were the ram skins, and the chashim. The chashim would have been the top one. The elim yadamim is below it, or they were combined together. All right, half and half. The one that's below it is with the goat's hair. That's called, and the one that's below is linen. Now, here's what's important. It's going to get you confused. In the Torah, and this is very hard to realize when you read it, the top cover is called mechseh. Mechseh, which means covering. The one under, which is of course the one made of elim yadamim and chashim. The one that's below it is called ohel. Now that's really tricky. That throws everybody for a loop because we always call it the ohel moed. Mm-hmm. But when it talks about making a covering for ohel, to be the ohel on top of the Mishkan, is referring to this covering which is made of yirot izim. The bottom covering which is made of the pishtan is called mechseh. You'll see some mechseh la ohel. So you got the three of them. Not Masai. It's called Mishkan. It's called the Mishkan law. Not Michse, Mishkan. So you have Michse, Ohel, and Mishkan, one on top of the other. And to really identify this, you either need to find a book that spells this out, or kind of put together the psukim that come all the way spaced through Truma, Tzava, Vayakab, Kude, and sometimes a little bit about Midbar, Vayikra as well, to realize what's going on there. So that's important that you keep that in mind, only because the part of this Gemara is really based upon which one is under which, and as well which one is being compared to which one.
The linen was called what, you say?
The linen is called Mishkan. I wrote on top. It's called Mishkan.
Okay,
And I'm sorry that I typed it in English. I should have typed it in Hebrew words.
Yeah,
So in other words, the top one is called Michse. That's easy to remember. The middle one is called Ohel. That's tricky. And then the bottom one is called Mishkan, which is also tricky because the whole building is called the Mishkan. And the whole building is called the Ohel. Are we good? All right. So far, so good. Okay. With that we're armed with that. We're ready to jump into this. So the Gemara says, "Vayotzim min ha'etz ayin tami tumas ohel pishon." Last time the Gemara, Minolan. How do you know that this is going to be that it's going to be tumas ohel? Where do you know this from? So Amar Rav Elazar Gamar ohel mi mishkan. We're going to learn this out from the where it says the rules about the Mishkan or the coverings on the Mishkan. And here's the comparison between the two. And I want you to just take a look as we do this between the psukim on the Oz V'Hadar edition. The Chsiv Hasla says in Bamidbar Yates. This is the Aleph, source Aleph, in that little page, that column, that narrow column that I handed out. Zos HaTorah Adam Kiyamus B'Oel Kol Haba El Oel V'Chol Asher B'Oel Yitmas Shivas Yomim. This is the beginning of Parshas Chukas. This talks about Tumas Mace, okay? Tumas Ohel, Tumas Mace, and Tumas Ohel. If you come into the Ohel, you're in the Ohel, you become Tameh. Okay, Kol Shemus Ohel. Uksiv Hasam, and it says in building the Mishkan, Vayefros es Ohel al HaMishkan, they put the Ohel on top of the Mishkan. Now what is the Ohel here? Now this is, once again, use that second chart so you can make sense of this. They put the goat's hair on top of the Mishkan. This could actually mean the Mishkan, or it could be the Pishtan as well. So therefore, that's what we're interpreting this to merely be the goat's hair is on top of the Mishkan, which is the Pishtan covering. So Ma'ala halon shel Pishtan kari ohel, afkan shel Pishtan kari ohel. In the same way that you have Ohel, that's talking about the Ohel going on top of the Pishtan in the Mishkan. So too, when it talks about Ohel for Tuma, what type of fabric is going to be for Tuma? Pishtan. Okay, Pishtan. That's the analogy called Adam Kiyamus Ba'ol, in the Ohel. But there are two types of Ohel. Everybody got it? But the comparison is the fact that the middle covering over the Mishkan is called Ohel. That's on top of the Mishkan, which is the Pishtan. So you have Ohel on top of the Pishtan, and therefore the Ohel that's referred to Tumas Ohel is also going to be referring to Pishtan itself. So consequently, we learned from this that nothing else that comes out of an eitz except Pishtan is going to be made related to the Tuma of Ohel. Everybody got this analogy? It's a bit of a trick analogy because the Ohel in both cases is talking about two things. Okay? There are two different meanings to what Ohel is, but it's the use of the word between one and the other. And actually, the truth is in both cases, Ohel for the Yirios Yizim as well also means a covering. Right? Ohel always means a covering. In this case, it's a specific covering. Michse means a covering. Ohel means a covering. Mishkan means to protect, okay, or a place for God's presence, perhaps. Shachan. So they all can refer to the whole Mishkan, but they're really referring to each of these different covers that are over the Mishkan itself. Okay, so therefore, this is how you learn. The Gemara wants to learn that Pishtan is going to be considered will be subjected to Tumas Ohel itself. So the Gemara says, now 1 second, so far we're good, fourth line. If maybe you should only say that the only time that Pishtan can become Tameh is if it's spun, and if it's a six twisted thread, which is Sheish Mashzar is the term that's used, and I'm not sure that the Sukkim are listed here, but one of the psukim talks about that that it's going to be made of sheish mashzar. Sheish is pishtan, and it's going to be spun 6 ways. So avkan shizurim v'chuton kaful. So maybe as well, the only time that the pishtan should become tameh is only if it's already spun into thread, but not if you simply have loose wads of pishtan that haven't been spun yet, haven't been processed. Talmud Lomer, ohel. It says ohel more than once. And it says, Adam kimus ba'ohel, kol haba el ha'ohel, v'chol asher ba'ohel. I'm not sure which of these ohels is the extra one, but you've got extra ohels floating around. So therefore, riba, you can add other things as well to the pishtan drasha, and say it's not only pishtan that is spun like they spun it for the mishkan, it's any kind of pishtan is going to be included in tumas ohel. Okay? Once again, it's a drash. It's not the simple pshat. But that's where it comes from. So the Gemara says, well, ohel. So the Gemara says, well, if you're already including things, what do we say we're including? Well, we have pishtan, but we're including even pishtan that's not processed, right? Pishtan that's not turned into thread. So ohel riba. If you're going to include ohel, more ohels, afilu kol milanami. How do you know where to stop? Maybe you should say ohel includes any kind of plant or any kind of thing that grows like wood. Why are you telling me only pishtan is included? Say it's included because ohel includes pishtan, but the other ohel says it's not just pishtan, it's anything that looks like pishtan, same way pishtan is an eitz. Everything that's an eitz should be included as well. There's people looking at me. You good with this so far? Okay. So the Gemara says Mkain, so the Gemara says that can't be Mkain Gzera Shava Maya Hanile. So, well, that really doesn't help me. So what's the Gzera Shava? If you tell me that everything should be included, what do I need the Gzera Shava? That's the Gzera Shava it gives me some kind of limit. This looks like there's no limit. So then what would you exclude? So the Gemara says, well, I'll tell you, maybe it's not really including the whole world. Maybe it's including wood. You know, there are krushim that are made of eitzim that we used in the Mishkan, so it's not completely out of whack. The krushim are the actual pieces of wood that are holding up this Mishkan. So maybe say that the krushim themselves will also be considered get tumas ohel, which is not really true. So ve'ema malahalan krushim, afkan krushim, the same way the Mishkan has got the krushim, which the krushim are underneath all of these coverings, right? So in the same way there's the ohel of the goat's hair is on top of the pishtan, which in itself is on top of the krushim, the wooden frame. So maybe you should also include the wooden krushim. So the Gemara says, I'll tell you can't really use that because they quote us a pasuk from Shmos Perek Chav Zayin, which says, krushim la mishkan. You're going to make the krushim for the Mishkan, not krushim of the Mishkan, but krushim for the Mishkan. And that's source number Gimel on that narrow column page that you have of the sources. Krushim la mishkan atze shitim omdim. You're going to make the krushim for the Mishkan, which are made of standing wood of shitim wood. So Mishkan karui Mishkan, v'en krushim kruyim Mishkan. You're going to make the krushim for the Mishkan. Pishtan is actually called Mishkan. This pasuk says you're going to make the krushim for the Mishkan, not that krushim are the Mishkan. The Pishtan is called actually crush. It's actually called it's called actually Mishkan itself. I'm not sure if we have a pasuk here. Here, I think we do. In pasuk Hey. V'nasu es riyosizim. I think the riyosizim is the riyot of the Mishkan is referring to the actual. It might be referring to the pishtan itself covering over the Mishkan. I think so. Okay. Or maybe a different pasuk. So Gemara says, "V'asisa krushim la Mishkan, Mishkan krush kari Mishkan, v'ein krushim kari Mishkan," because they're called la Mishkan. So Gemara says, well, if that's the case, Elamayata v'asisa michsel la ohel. Well, let's go back to the other kind of covering that we have, which is on top of everything, which is source number Daled. V'asisa michsel la ohel. You're going to put a covering called the michseh on top of the ohel. What's the ohel? The ohel is the goat's hair in the middle. What's the michseh? Is the one on top of that. In fact, it tells us in the pasuk what exactly is this michseh made of. In source number Daled, oros ilim yadamim umichseh oros tchashim ilamala. It's made of skins of red rams and skins of tchashim on top of that. That's the top covering. You see how confusing this is? Is this one covering together? Or is it they have the picture here of badger skins and ram skins as two coverings? This pasuk looks to me like one skin. Okay? So we'll leave that. Let's leave that on the side for a moment. The Gemara will deal with that finally towards the end.
Because they're sewn together.
They could be sewn together, right? But it looks, if it's not clear, is this one skin or two skins? We'll
two
see.
layers or one layer.
2 layers or 1 layer, or half and half, or something like that. Is it?
It says here dyed red, and here it says that they were red.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Could be. I don't know of any red rams.
Okay.
The word yichsa is used twice, once for the Yizim
Right,
and
correct.
one for the
Okay.
The mean they are made
Which
red.
word means dye?
Adam is red.
It's red.
Adam is turned into red. Reddened.
Oh, reddened. Okay.
It's the
Gerund. I don't know what it is. Gerund or participle or something.
Okay.
It's elim shemishu adam adam.
Okay. I
Okay.
understand that.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't know of any rams out there that look like a fire engine. I know of red cows. I know of paraduma. I don't know of any elim adamim. Okay. Good question. Excellent question. Okay. So at any rate, so the Gemara says, if this is the case, that you're going to tell me if it says Kroshim La Mishkan, I can't include this for Tumah because it says Kroshim La Mishkan, not Kroshim of the Kroshim Mishkan, right? It says when it calls the Pishtan, it's called Mishkan. So then the same thing should be, the pasuk says Vyosisa Michseh La Ohel. You're going to make the Michseh for the Ohel, and it's going to say Vyosisa Michseh La Ohel. Hachinam, you should say Michseh Lo Ikrei Ohel. Then it's not called Ohel, and consequently hides should also not be Makabal Tumah. And we're going to see in the next line that hides are Makabal Tumah. So if you tell me that wood is not Makabal Tumah because it says Kroshim La Mishkan, doesn't say Kroshim to make it identified equal to becoming Tameh. So when it says Michseh La Ohel of Arot Elim Yodamim, it should not become Tameh the same way. So, and it's so, what's wrong with that? Elahad the boy Rabbi Lazar. But that doesn't jive with the following question Rabbi Lazar had, which was, if you have the skin of an animal that's not kosher, does that become tameh with tumas ohel hameis? So he had a question about the skin of non-kosher animal. What's the premise of that question? Skin of a kosher animal is surely going to become tameh. His only question was, does this also apply to non-kosher animals? Why? Why would this be a question? Because in the Mishkan, they only use kosher animals.
So this Badger translation is for sure wrong.
This Badger translation is for sure wrong.
No, what I mean is it's not just kosher animals.
Correct. Yes.
I knew it was wrong.
Right.
But it's like really wrong.
That's correct. That's right. Okay. The best picture I could find. Okay. Right. I didn't want to get into photoshopping the word badger around.
That's
okay.
Fine.
Right. It can't unless
it's
it was
wrong. It's wrong because it's not a badger. But it's wrong because it's not a kosher animal.
Well, nobody knows what choshim are. I believe in the Hertz Chumash, in the old JPS translation, that she uses them as seal skins.
They do, that's it.
Oh, yeah, seal skins.
Okay.
That's
also the sense, just as bad as badgers. Badgers, seals, nobody knows what the tachash is.
Seal is just a trick.
Okay?
Yeah, sure. It's a sea mammal.
Yeah.
Where would they get in the desert?
Where would they get seals? They would get. They sent an expedition.
North Pole.
Where would they get in the desert? Where would they get wood?
Badgers.
Where would they get wood?
Yaakov planted.
Oh, Yaakov planted. Yeah, Yaakov planted the trees and they found the trees. That's true. The Medrash says that. Yeah. But the simple pshat is they schlepped wood out from Mitzrayim, or they sent an expedition to where there was back to where the coast where they could find trees.
And sealed.
Okay. And sealed. And sealed. And that's right, correct. Where would they get, hold on guys, where would they get the blue dye?
That's right.
For the tcheles?
That's only for sure by the sea.
Right. So the answer was either they took it going out, this is what they were prepared for all things. They had this Masorah what to take.
They didn't take any food.
But they didn't take, the food was heavier, okay? Or they send expeditions to the coast to find sea snails, okay? All these questions are going to be asked, all the malachas of Shabbos, when you try to understand them, where do they get these things? What's out there in the desert? The answer is the desert things do grow, but certain things do not, like seals, tcheles, and so forth, and badgers. Maybe badgers are in the desert, okay? Okay, at any rate, so you see, on the one hand it says, Avasisa Michseh La Ohel, for the Ohel it's not considered the same thing as Ohel. So therefore, and yet we know the Rabbi Lazar assumed that our Behema Tahora is going to be Tameh Tumas Meis. So here's the Gemara just continues. Hashta or behema tahora lo mitame or behema tmea mibaye. If you're telling me that you're excluding or behema tahora because it says michse la ohel, so if or behema that's kosher is not going to become tamei meis, is the or behema tmea going to become tamei meis? Definitely not. So the Gemara says, well, you know what, we have another drush that will cover that part. Shani Hasam, the Hadar Hadre Kra. There's another pasuk that we have in Bamidbar Perik Dalid. This is on, which pasuk is this going to be? Yeah, it's in source number Hey, okay? They're going to carry this is about transporting the Mishkan. This is where they talk about, I believe this is where the Galim and the Masaos are listed in the beginning of Bamidbar. It's in Pashas Bamidbar or Naso, the Pasha after that, which I think maybe Baloscha. So it says that they're going to carry the riyot to Mishkan. The riyot are the curtains, correct? Viat ohel moed, and they're going to carry the ohel moed, the michsehu, and the michseh atachash asher alav milmala. Now, what's going on here? So the riyot, so michsehu u'michseh atachash, the michseh, which is made of the covering, and the covering of the tachash, which is on top of that. Makish el yon l'tachton. The fact that we have some covering and a covering of the tachash on top of that means that there's a covering underneath it, which is going to be what? It's going to be compared to the pishton. Makish el yon l'tachton. Ma tachton kori ohel. The same way that the one on the bottom is going to be considered ohel, which I think might be the goats here, the riotizim. So af el yon kori tachton. So the same thing, the michsei atachash asher alav milmala is also going to be considered tumas also. Even though it talks about orot elim miyadamim, this talks about chashim, but it compares to two times michsei and michsei atachash asher alav milmala, and then they're both compared together to say that they're going to be the same way. Same way, one is going to be considered tumas ohel, the other will be considered tumas ohel. Ma tachton is going to be ohel, which I believe is going to be the sheish, the mashzar, the pishtan. So too, the one on top of that, which is talking about the elim, is going to be considered tumas ohel, which is the michsei orot, michsei atachash asher alav milmala. So we're comparing something on top of something else to say the same way the bottom one is going to become tumas ohel, the one on top is going to become tumas ohel. So this becomes the drush, therefore, that we learn as follows. Okay, at the end of the day, let's take a breath because this is the end of this piece of the drush here. So the drush is as follows: that I know that pishton is going to become tamei because it's called ohel, right? It's called mishkan, and it's putting the ohel on the mishkan. The ohel on the mishkan is referred to putting the goat's hair on top of the mishkan, which is the pishton. But it also uses ohel for tumas ohel in terms of the first parak of first chapter about chukas, which deals with tumas ohel. Tumas ohel meis. So the same way that ohel refers to tumas meis, so the same thing, this thing underneath the ohel is going to be considered tumas meis. What about krashim? That's krashim la mishkan. It says michseh la ohel, but that's included for another comparison between the two of them together. So at the end of the day, here's what is tamei. Oros elim yadamim and oros techashim are going to be makabel tuma. We haven't yet determined about behema tmeya. Right? When it comes to the Mishkan, that which is made of sheish mashzar, that will be makabel tumah as well. I believe the goats here, I think also is makabel tumah, I'm not sure. But any other type of tree item, such as the krashim, will not be makabel tumas ohel, unless it's formed into a type of a kli. But raw wood would not become tumas ohel, whereas raw pishton would become tumas ohel. That's the drush that we learned from that pishton is makabel tumas ohel. Okay? You're not all satisfied with it, but that's the drush. That's the drush as best as we're going to get the drush to go. Okay. Now, we got to deal with the question about the covering, whether behema tmeya is going to become tamei or not.
Right.
So now we have another piece of drush. It's a different kind of drush. Okay, it's not that hard. Gufa, says the Gemara. It's really Gemara. I can't even go into Tosos and Rashi and so forth. It's really complicated. We get too far afield.
I want to make sure I understand the...
Right. So far it's pretty good.
I want to make sure I understand the tmeya.
Right.
So, it doesn't mean it was shechted in a certain way. It means that
non-kosher animal. Inherently a non-kosher animal.
Right? I'm saying
right.
Mostly they had kosher animals.
Not necessarily. I don't know. There were lions running around, lions, and what else were out there?
I don't know how many skins. I'm just saying, mostly in an oil, they probably have leather. Like
that camels was a non-kosher one. There's an example, right? Donkeys are non-kosher. That petah chamor is mentioned there clearly. So, you know what? You just look in Sefer Vayikra, on Parshas Tzav or Shmini, where's it listed the kosher animals? So this was given to Bnei Yisrael.
This gives a couple of examples like rabbits and
right.
stuff. But,
well, it gives more than a couple of examples. So at any rate, the bottom line is the kosher animals were used for the Mishkan. Anything that's used in the Mishkan was made of a kosher animal.
I'm talking about inside an ordinary oil that a Jew would have. But
and
you're right, you could have donkeys.
Correct. So we haven't really determined yet about the or of a behema tmeya, whether that alone could become a kabel tumas ohel. Okay. So once again, we're not talking, by the way, about utensils. If you had a utensil made of different objects, like a utensil made of wood, that would become tamei. A utensil made of, I think, of or would also become tamei. Talking about straight or, straight leather, straight hide. Okay. Gufa. So now we go back to this discussion we mentioned inter alia, which was about or behema tmeya. Gufa. Boy Rav Elazar. Rav Elazar had a question. Or behema tmeya mao shiyit matumas olim. Does the or behema, the skin of a non-kosher animal, can that become tumas ol or not? So Gemara says, what kind of question is this? Maikomi boilan. What's he really asking? Why would he ask the question? Why would you think the question would be a question? So Amravada Barahava. The reason is because the question he's really asking has a question behind it. In other words, we know that all the animals used in the Mishkan were kosher animals. What about the tachash? Was the tachash a kosher animal or not? Now you looked at the badger and you guys said, well, that's all going to be wrong because they're Christians, because they chose that animal. But maybe they're really right. Maybe the tachash was some type of non-kosher animal. How do you know it's kosher? How do you know it's kosher? So the Gemara says, he's really asking, was the tachash that existed in the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, because there are no tachashim, they're extinct, they were only made then, and they finished off. Was it tamei haya, tahar haya? Was it really tahar, or was it tamei, or was it only tahar? Okay, so I'm Rav Yosef. So the Gemara says, so Rav Yosef says, Mighty Baile. What are you really asking a question? Tanina, we have a brisa that says, Lahukshu lemlecha shemaim el or behema tahara bavad. So the question, we have a brisa that says the only types of animals that we used for the Mishkan were kosher animals. Okay, so what kind of question are you really asking? So Masi Rav Abba, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Shtei Mechzos Hoy, and now there's another, I think this is, I'll tell you, so the question's coming up. So Masi Rav Abba, Rabbi Yehuda, let's skip a line?
No.
Elor behema Torah bavad. Masiv Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shnei Mechzos Hayu Echad Shelo Ros Elim Yadamim V'Echad Shos Techashim. So we're going to quote a brisa, and this is where the question is going to come. The brisa has two opinions. Rabbi Yehuda says there were two coverings. One was made of the skins of Olot Elim Yadamim. These are the red-dyed rams. And the next one was made of the skins of Orot Chashim. And Rabbi Nechemia Omer Michsei Echad Haya. It was made of one skin. They were woven together, or they alternated, or they mixed back and forth. Chashim and Elim Adamim. So you could imagine this could be some kind of alternating striations between animal that was a multicolored skin and a red skin, multicolored skin, a red skin, back and forth. These are skins of animals.
They're not that big.
They're not that big. You gotta sew them together. So according to Rabbi Nechemia, this was made of one skin mixing together. That's why I told you the machloket is really one layer. Was it one layer or two layers? The pictures that you have here obviously has it 2 layers, but when I wrote the top, I wrote 3 or 4 coverings. Okay, it's just to cover this discussion. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, there were 2 layers. According to Rabbi Nechemia, there were 1 layer, and this is the end of the Braita. V'doma kmin tla ilan, and was compared to some kind of animal called the tla ilan. And Rashi says that this was some kind of like leopards, like spots and stripes on it of different colors. Chayat meohi umnumeris b'chvanim. It had a multicolored with different kinds of colorations and striations on this animal. So according to Rabbi Nechemia, what did this look like? Because you not only had a multicolored tachash, you also mixed it together with the red skins. It really looked like the animal kingdom in the colors of the rainbow. Right? Except, what's the problem here? What's the question? The question is, Rabbi Nechemia says, and this is the words of Rabbi Nechemia, not only this was a multicolored striations that were put on top of the Mishkan, it was so beautiful, it looked like, it was like the Tla Ilan. Now it's not clear what he means like the tla'ilan. What does he mean? So it looks like what he's saying is this animal that was being mixed together with the skins of the animal, the tchashim, were so colored it was the same kind of animal like the tla'ilan, which is some kind of animal that's a non-kosher animal. So the kasha of the Gemara is, and this is behind the question that Rabbi Lazar was asking, because his real question is not about whether the orot can be tamei, can become tamei, whether the orot of behemoth tzmeah can become tumas. The real question was the tachash, a kosher or non-kosher animal. And when Nehemiah says this animal was like the tla'ilan, it looks like he's saying it was like the non-kosher tla'ilan. Think of a multicolored animal. What color animal do you want to think of? Chameleon. I don't know.
It could be like a leopard or a tiger with the dark and light.
Oh, well, it's more than it's multicolored. Think of some kind of multicolored monkey or something. I don't know what animals have multicolors. Very rare because animals want to be camouflaged. It's birds that have the colors.
But like you say, the stripy arm would have a couple of colors.
Yeah, but you don't really.
For sure.
Right.
Think of some kind of multicolored animal that obviously was so rare that they were able to identify this. This animal was like the tla'ilan, which they knew was a non-kosher animal. What do you see from this? What comes out of this? The Gemara sees, you see that according to Rabbi Nehemiah, it looks like, because this is part of his quote, or maybe it's Rabbi Yehuda as well, that the Tachashim were like the Tla'ilan. The Tla'ilan was a non-kosher animal. Maybe the Tachashim were non-kosher animals. So the Gemara's obvious answer is, the comparison to Tla'ilan is not about whether the animal is kosher or not, it's simply a comparison to the coloration, the striation. So the Gemara says, Vatla'ilan, that's the Gemara's question, Vatla'ilan, Tamehu. Tla'ilan was a non-kosher animal. Think of a non-kosher bobcat in different in technicolor. So hachi kama, this is what I mean. Kamot tla'ilan hu, sheyesh ba gvanim harbe. But lo tla'ilan, it was a tla'ilan that had many colors. But lo tla'ilan, di lo hasam tamei v'achatar. So it was colored like the tla'ilan. It looked like a tla'ilan because of the coloration, but it was not a tla'ilan because the tla'ilan was a non-kosher, and the chashim were a kosher animal. Okay?
You really can't draw that conclusion. All you can say is, it looked like this non-kosher animal. That still means it could have been kosher or non-kosher.
Here's what we know. We don't know what a tachash was.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know.
Right. What we have to assume here's what we do assume, that every...
like a non-kosher, why would we assume it was kosher?
So it depends what the comparison is. The comparison that looked like this animal... In other words, is Rabbi Nehemiah, let's say if you could imagine a bobcat that had paint streaked all over it.
I'm saying,
so bobcat is a good example of an animal that has certain other colors and striations on it. It's clearly non-kosher. Okay.
Right.
So, or are you simply saying it's this coloration like a bobcat had the colorations? That's actually more logical.
That's all I'm saying, but that doesn't still tell me whether by definition it's kosher, right? Okay. It's not saying it's not kosher.
Correct. Well,
I mean, it's not saying it's a bobcat. It's saying it looks like a bobcat. I'm not saying it is.
And the truth is, if you read the Mishnah, if you read this brisa that they're quoting between them of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nehemiah, it looks like Rabbi Nehemiah is talking about the combination of the tachash and the red skins.
Yes.
Not just the tachash alone. We know the rams are kosher animals. So what it looks like it could be saying is that this combination of red alternating with multicolor, alternating with red, alternating with multicolor, gave it this kind of shape, or not shape, coloration and striation like the tla'ilan animal. Problem is we don't know what the tla'ilan animal actually is. We don't know what this animal was, we don't know what the tachash was. Do they translate anything about tla'ilan in the art scroll? What tla'ilan? Probably not. I don't think people know what tla'ilan is.
They translate tachash for that, man.
Well, maybe not. Tachash is going to... Kashrut-kosher. There you go. We're translating what you don't know from what you don't.
I agree 100%.
Tachash and tla'ilan. I don't think they have a chance because it goes back and forth. You see, they don't even know what it is. Is it like the animal?
We're comparing two animals
that we don't know.
None
of which we don't know. None of we don't know them. Both of them don't exist. We can't find them.
Right.
But we know they're colorful.
Right, but we know they're colorful and one is right. And we know for sure, based upon the tradition, based upon our tradition, that this tachash went extinct.
Is it squirrel?
Squirrel?
I'm not sure what the Hebrew it is. Hold on.
Okay. Not sure either. Okay, so at any rate, so Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef says, apparently Rav Yosef was known for his knowledge about Targum. I'm not sure if this is in the Targum Onkelos or Targum Yerushalmi, Targum Yonasim Menazil, Targum Yerushalmi. He says, Im ihachi hainu the Metargaminon. we have the translation?
No,
Okay.
because it says it hangs on a tree.
It doesn't give it.
It says it hangs on a tree.
Oh, tla'ilon, that's good. So tla'ilon,
This
something
is
that hangs on a
Jastro.
tree.
He gets it from Jastro, literally hanging on a tree. It is doubtful, however, whether a squirrel is meant, as the context shows that the striped or speckled animal of many colors is referred to. So, but it's just translated squirrel.
Good. It's called tla'ilon from the hangs from the tree. Excellent. We've made some progress. We've eliminated some animals in the animal kingdom.
Well, it could have been like
Could like a sloth. Could be something. I don't know.
monkey. I don't know.
Some kind of multicolor. I'm saying most animals do not have bright colors. Just keep that in mind. Most animals do not have bright colors. Skunk does not have a bright color. It's black and white. It's
pretty bright.
It's only bright when you're driving down at night and it shines through headlights. Right, but it's meant to. All the animals are meant to fit into their environment. Right? It's just birds that really stand out because they fly away. Okay.
The picture he has here with tla'ilon.
What is it?
It looks like a bobcat or what would you call
Yeah,
that?
I think it's a bobcat. They said.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So
it's a young one on a tree.
okay, it's a bobcat. There you go. I remembered it from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
A
number of
Yeah, it's a small cat, like think of a tiny cougar, like a lynx. Thank you. Okay. All right, here we go. So it's some kind of bobcat with different colors.
Looks like it. That's I should read.
And a bobcat hangs in the trees. It's true.
Somebody's shul has a fur coat.
All right, we're going to go upstairs. There's a wedding going on. You're going to check all the fur coats, come down and bring down the tla'ilon. I'm Rabbi Yosef. Okay, so at any rate, the Gemara wants to conclude this and come up with some kind of a point about what kind of the animal is. This is what the Targum translates. And I didn't check to see whether our Targum is this. This doesn't mean this is what we translate. It means this is the translation of the Tachash in the Targum on his Torah, right? Was called Saskuna, which that's the Aramaic word, which means shesas bigvanim harbe. So saskuna, it's spelled the same as samach shin shin or sin sin. Shesas, that celebrates with its different many colors. In other words, it's like tla'ilon because this has many colors. Not that the animal looked like a tla'ilon, walked like a tla'ilon, behaved like a tla'ilon. It simply was a multicolored animal. That's what the Targum has, which is one of the older translations of the Torah itself. Okay. So based upon everything we did until now, what would be the conclusion of Rav Elazar? Rav Elazar's question is therefore, is an or of an animal that's tmeah going to be kosher or not, going to be makabel tumas ohel? So the answer is, his question was really based upon a secondary question, if the tachash was a kosher animal or not. Now that we've decided tachash is a kosher animal, what would his answer be? What's the only kind of or that can become tameh? It's learned out from the type of animals that we used in the Mishkan, because these are the orot, elim, and tchashim that we just learned the whole page, this whole drasha we had earlier on. So therefore, it's only going to be kosher animals that become tameh. That's the conclusion according to everything you learned until now. Now we have a second approach. Rav Amar. Okay, you always have a second approach. There's always the rebuttal. Okay. So Rav Amar, Rava says not true. Or behemot tmeah the matame bi ohel hameis mehacha. No, the skin of a behemot tmeah is actually going to be matame and tumas ohel, and I learned it from a different pasuk. Forget all the psukim you learned about the Mishkan. Now we'll have to, of course, say what do we do with all these psukim about the Mishkan? That you only need a kosher in the Mishkan. What does that mean? Why is it only kosher for the Mishkan? Why? But he says I got a whole different way to learn this out from. He's got his own bright, and this is going to deal with the last two sources on the bottom of the page: source Vav and Zayin. Okay, this is the skinny column you have from the Oz V'Hadar Gemara. Okay, this great Oz V'Hadar Gemara saves all this time. It's just printed in a little print on the side. I just blew it up for you. So here's what it says. And it's a little complicated, so I hope we can make sense of this. And just remember, once again, it's a drush. Okay, so there are two. The source Vav is dealing with saras. The psukim they're talking about b'shtib, b'erev, lapishtim, latzomer, o ba'ar, b'chol maleches ar. So the pasuk says in dealing with begadim that can become tameh with tumah of tzoras, which is leprosy, it's whether it's made from shti or erev. This or the whoop. Shti or erev is the whoop in the wharf, right? That's made for tzemer, pishtim or tzemer, flax, linen or wool, o ba'ar, or with the weight of leather, skin, hide, or any work that's made of hide. Which means you take different pieces together and you weave them together and put them together. For example, what's called today, I believe, patent leather. I believe patent leather is where they take leather and they chop it up into little pieces, then glue it all together and comes out. Okay, a lot of
process.
Like some cheapo leather chairs.
Cheapo leather chairs are made of this kind of stuff.
Bonded, isn't it?
Bonded leather is called. Maybe also bonded leather. It's like the same thing like you have felt hats are made from skin as well, but it's all put together into little shmachkas. So bonded leather is made of this. I think that's what halacha-theory is talking about. Okay, so here's the drash. So the pasuk says, O ba'ar, O b'chol halacha-theory. So why not just say O-ar? O b'shti, O ba'erev, la pishtim, v'latzomer, O-ar. Well, what's bi'ar? B'chol melechasar. The Tanya, R. It says, it could have said just R. What's Oba Bi'ar? O Bi'ar with R? Reba. It comes to include different types of R. What does it include, of course? R Behema Tmeya. The R Behema Tmeya Shalaka Biyad Kohen. And anything that had a tsaras, even after the Kohen saw it. Okay? Or Katzat Mikulam V'yasah Achas Mehen Minayin. How do you know if they have R Behema Tmeya? And it became tsaras after the Kohen saw it. And also you took pieces from different leather and you made bonded leather together. How do you know that becomes Talmei Minayin? Talmud Lomer, O B'chol Melechasar. So R comes to teach me skin. Bi'ar comes to teach me Behema Tmeya. And I think the comma goes Shalaka Bi'ad Kohen and Katzat Mikulim Vasachas Mihen is included B'chol Melechasar. I think, I'm not sure. But at any rate, the key is that you're learning from this pasuk at Saras, the fact that it says bi'ar instead of R, that all kinds of R included, not just what you might have excluded and only included tar R, even R from a non-kosher animal, even a pigskin, okay, even an alligator belt, right? That would be included in becoming for Saras, and therefore, if it and what's going to be the drasha? That if it applies for Saras, it's going to apply as well for also Tumas Ohel. Okay, so V'ikal Mifrach, so you could actually knock off this drasha. What would be the knockoff? Malin the goyim shekain shesi v'erev tamei bohem. But really, when it comes to tzaras, it's even if it's not a beged, you just started the whoop and warf. Remember the first words here, b'shtei b'erev, means you started like you had 3 stitches, and that's not even anything. That alone can become tamei tzaras. When it comes to tumas ohel, you need a beged. We saw about 3x3, 3x3 headsposts, and all that. That's really a beged. Ella, so I can't learn it from tzaras. Where am I going to learn it from? I'm going to learn it from different tumah. Lagomar mishwatzim, tumah shwatzim, which is the tumah that come into contact with the shwatzim. That's source number 7. Okay, that's the last source on the page. It says the Tanya, the same drasha. Or what's the pasuk here? V'chol sheipol mehem mosam mikol kleitz obeged or osak. Where's ba'ar? Oh, it says O-R. It says O-beged O-R. O-R. Okay, it says O-R. It says Mikol Kliates O-beged O-R O-sak. So Ainli Ala-R Behema Tahora. Or Behema Tmea Minayin Talmud Lomar O-R. I guess it could have said Mikol Kliates O... I'm not sure what it would say. Mikol Kliates Beged V-R. Maybe it could have said V-R.
What's a sak?
Sak is sackcloth. Okay, it's made of goat's hair. So the rule of vav in the Torah does not only mean and. Sometimes vav means or. Vav can many times in the Torah be or as well. So the fact that it says o is an additional word that didn't have to be put in. That's the drush here that's being used. Please don't ask me what you learned from Obeged Osak, okay? But that's not our topic for tonight. So at any rate, so we're not going to learn.
O is or.
It could have said Kli'etz, V'beged, V'ar, V'sak. All I'm saying is Vav, we say Vav means and. Sometimes Vav is or. A or B. It's used both ways in the Torah.
Yes, it is?
Yes, it is. Okay?
Or in English, like O-R, that kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry, that confused you? Or,
no, what did you say?
Vav can be O-R.
O-R, yeah.
We got it, okay.
Exactly.
Either or.
Conjunctive.
Right. It can be conjunctive and disjunctive. And if I think long enough, I'll probably come up with a way to show you that. But it's a cloud that, right. It's a cloud that comes up in many places. Okay. So at any rate, Viko. So the Gemara says still. So I'm learning it from where? I'm learning it from From what am I learning from Shvatzim? So Gemara says Vikal Mirfach, but it's not so easy to learn that for Tumas Mace, because Mala Shvatzim Shekhem Tamim Be'adasha. Tumas Sheretz can make a person Tameh even as small, you can make Tuma even something as small as an Adasha, Adasha is a lentil seed, right? Which is fairly small. So the Gemara says, well, I can't learn it therefore only from Shvatzim. Let me go back to Nagayim, that's Saras, the previous one, and I'll go back them together. So this is what's called a Matzah. They try to learn from two topics to a third topic. One I can't learn from because each thing has a weakness. When I compare two things, each weakness cancels out the other. Each strongness cancels out the other's weakness. So let me go back to Nagayim. I'll go back to Nagayim Yochichu, because in Nagayim, you have to be Tameh for a gris, which is a gris is the size of a dime. Okay, that's not as large as a kazayas, but that's about many times larger than an adasha, which is a lentil seed, a lentil thing. So you can pipe it 9 lentils into a dime or a penny, the old pennies. So, okay, v'chazar adin lo rizek rizeh v'lo rizek rizeh. One is different than the other. Each one of these has something different than the other. Zeh tzara shava behen. This is what's called a tzara shava. She'ar tamei behen. That each of them includes ar and includes ar tamei, because we had a drasha either ba'ar or or. So v'asa ar behema tzmeya ka'ar, and we're including behema tzmeya in the ar itself, in ka'ar behema tahora afaniya v'ol hel mameis she'ar behema tamei bo v'nasa bo ar behema tzmeya ka'ar behema tahora. So I'm going to therefore learn out from both Nagayim and Sarat, okay, that if these are going to be good enough to tell me that it applies to Ar Behema Tmeya, then Ar Behema Tmeya can become Taras, and Ar Behema Tmeya can become Tumas Shvatzim. This will tell me as well it can also become Tumas Mace. So Amalei Rava Mi Barnash Ravashi Ikal Mifrach. I have a knockoff on this. What's the knockoff? The knockoff at Tzara Shava, you have to show something that's a kula for the two that doesn't have with the third one. What's the tzara shava? Mal tzara shava b'hen shekain tmeim b'pachas mikazayis. Both tumas mace and both tumas shvatzim and tumas saras can make tamei less than a kazayis. We said that tumas saras is a adasha. It's a lentil bean. Tumas nagayim is a gris, which is a type of bean that's the size of a dime. Both of them are smaller than a kazayis. In order to become tamei for tumas mace, it only works on a kazayis and larger. Tomar b'meish and a tamei el kazayis. Ela Amar Rav Barnash. Let's see how much time we have to do this. Okay, where we can put our thing here. Asya b'kal v'chomer minotza shaleitzim she'ein metam minotza shaleitzim. I'm going to learn a kal v'chomer from a garment that's made from the hair of Izim. This was hair that was plucked out hair from the Izim, which was very fine, as opposed to most goat's hair, which was could be used for sackcloth or burlapping bags. But they also took fine hairs to make a real baguette for. Yeah, young goats maybe. But anyways, this was a type of garment. So this is not matame. This is not matame bin Nagayim, but it's matame bi'al meis. So if notza shalizim is not matame bin Nagayim, and I don't know why it's not matame bin Nagayim, I don't know, but it is matame bi'al meis, or behema tzmeya shematame bin Nagayim, eino din shematame bi'al meis. So surely can be matame with all meis. Okay, let's stop here for a moment. So what do we have so far? We have that Rava came along and had a drasha, which had a pircha on it. What was Rava's drasha? Rava tried to say that we're going to learn the Nasa Matzad from the Goyim and Saras. Right? The two of them are going to become Tamei for our Tmeya will also apply for Tumas Ohel Mace. That got knocked off because both Nagayim and Saras are going to, both Nagayim and Shvatzim are going to become a Tamei for less than a Kazayas, and Tamei Mace is going to be only a Kazayas. So then we have a Kal V'chomer, which is the last piece of this, by Rava Mi Barnash, not the original Rava, a Rava that lives much later on, towards the end of Tkufas Amoraim. He says the Kal V'chomer, if Notza Shel Izim are not Matami bin Nagayim, are Matami bi'ol mace, and that includes also then Ar Behema Tmeya, which is Matami bin Nagayim, is surely Kal V'chomer will be Matami bi'ol mace. That becomes the drasha that is the approach that says that Ar Behema Tmeya is going to become Tamei Tumas Mace. Now here's a good place to stop, but here's what we haven't dealt with. Here's what we haven't dealt with. We learned that you see, it looks like that everything that was in the Beis Hamikdash had to come from a kosher animal, right? So what are we going to learn from those kind of psukim? what are we going to learn from the psukim that tell us about having to use kosher animals? If you're telling me that you can make, we thought it only dealt with tumah and tumas mace and so forth and so on, so we're going to have a drasha that comes to tell me that the same way that I can only use kosher animals for the Beis HaMikdash, I can only use kosher animals for tefillin. Some of the laws about tefillin are halacha-Moshe Sinai. There's a special law that says that the tefillin have to be made, everything in the tefillin have to be made from kosher animals. And we'll see that next week. So if by next week you forget the drashos, don't worry, because you just keep in your mind, there's one drasha that we started today was that our behema tmeya is not going to become tamei tumas mace. The second one we ended up with says it is, and now we got to explain what about the Beis HaMikdash and other mitzvos as well. Because what we learned until now had to do about tumas mace in an ohel. Didn't have to do it doing mitzvos itself. That will be next week's topic, and that'll bring us back into something that's more applicable, which will take us down to the next Mishnah once again is back on Shabbos. Okay.